started learning trigonometry from the last class. We did the Pythagoras theorem. We did the trigonometric ratios, the three trigonometric ratios that are written over here, the formulas for trigonometric ratios. All right. All this was something that you guys have already done. There's nothing new in it which you guys did not know. Now, what is about to come is the new thing about the trigonometry that you have to learn. First is further trigonometry. All right. And in the further trigonometry, you basically have two things. One is sine rule. The other thing is cosine rule. All right. Now, in the very beginning of giving you a revision for trigonometry, I told you that there are two types of triangles. One type is when you have a 90-degree or a right angle present in a triangle. All right. All right. So there is one right angle triangle that you have. All right. And all of the things above that we have done were only for the right angle triangles. Like we did the Pythagoras theorem, that was for the 90-degree triangle. We did the trigonometric ratios, the three ratios, sine, cos, tan, that was for 90-degree only. All right. Now what we are doing over here is completely for non-90-degree angles. All right. The only condition to apply sine rule and cosine rule is that first you have to make sure that there is no 90-degree or right angle in the triangle. For example, if I have this triangle over here, as you can see that there are no perfect perpendicular line to create any 90-degree in it. As we know that it should be, somewhat of an L-shaped angle. That is where you can create a 90-degree. As you can see that in this shape, there are no two possible perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are the ones that are intersecting with one another or going with one another in an L shape or something. So these are the perpendicular lines. All right. If you don't have the perpendicular line in the triangle, so it means that these angles are not 90-degree. All right. Or if it will be 90-degree. So in the paper, they will mention it. Like when you will be giving the exam, they will mention it. If there will be any possibility of a 90-degree, let's say that you can say that these two lines look perpendicular to you. These two lines look like an L shape to you, and you think that there is a possibility of having a 90-degree over here. If it is perfectly perpendicular to one another, so you don't have to really measure it. They will be making a box over there. If it is a 90-degree, they will make a box over here. If it is not made, it means that it is not a 90-degree. All right. So the very first thing that you need to understand about sine rule and cosine rule is that the triangles are going to be non-90-degree always. Now, that is the first thing, Now, the formulas, if we talk about the formulas, so for sine rule, we have sine A, write it as capital, sine A over A is equals to sine B over B is equals to sine C over C. Now, if you look at the formula for the cosine rule, so there are two types of formula that you have for cosine rule. One is cosine rule for side, to find side. Right? For that, the formula is a square is equals to, or let me just change the color. A square is equals to b square plus c square minus 2bc cos A. Or if you are looking for cosine rule, For angle, so you can write cos A is equals to B square plus C square minus A square over 2B and C. Now, this is just the formula that you need to have a look at. All right. Now, identification. Since you know that both of the triangles are the ones that does not have a 90 degree. All right, that's for sure. Now, a 90 degree is not there. So how can you rule out that on which triangle you're going to put a sine rule or on which triangle you're going to put a cosine rule? Because both of the triangles are going to look same. They both will not be having a 90 degree in it. So how can you possibly figure out that on which triangle you're going to put a sine rule or on which triangle you're going to put a cosine rule? We rule out that either the rectangle is going to be solved with the help of a cosine rule or sine rule. So there are some signs that you need to note down. All right. Now, see, what is the difference between these two triangles? I first want you to analyze that what is the difference between these two triangles. As you see that in one triangle, there are two sides and two angles provided. In the second triangle, there are two sides and only one angle provided. All right. So what you need to understand is that in whatever triangle, we have a pair of an angle and its side in front of one another. When we have a pair of an angle and a side in front of one another, it is solved by sine rule only. All right. And when we don't have a pair, as you can see in the second one, there is no pair of an angle and a side. There is a side, but in front of it, there is no angle. There is a side over here as well, but there is no angle in front of it. So there is no pair. And the angle and the side that are involved in the triangle, they both are not provided. Like this side is something that we are looking for. So this is the way you can figure out that either it's going to be solved with sine rule or either it's going to be solved with cosine rule.